Welcome to Chamber Chat. I'm John Terre, President and CEO of the Boulder Chamber, and we welcome you to a special edition of Chamber Chat. We're back in the virtual world, and that is because my guest today, Ann Gifford, who is the Boulder Star Artist for 2022, having produced this beautiful Boulder Star holiday card art, is a little under the weather. So we thought it would be safer for everybody if we did this interview virtually. But I'm so excited to welcome Ann Gifford, who's been a longtime artist in our community and won a very competitive process for selection of the Boulder Star card artist. And so I'm excited to have her here, so enthusiastic about the art that she produced. So we're going to start by welcoming you, Ann, to Chamber Chat.
Hi. You hear me? Okay, just checking. Thank you very much for doing this and for the honor of being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure
for
to
the
have.
honor of doing the star too. It was great.
Well, welcome, Ann. All right, so I'm just going to ask, just to kick things off, maybe if you can just tell our Chamber Chat audience a little bit about your history of working as an artist in Boulder.
Well, I actually started doing art. My mother claims it was in the playpen, and that was in New York State where I came from. But she said when I was like 1 year old, they would take their Christmas cards and throw them in the playpen, and I would thumb through them and then just topple over and go to sleep, which is that was nice for my mom. So anyway, really, truly, I remember doing art forever. I moved here in 1976. I remember the Pearl Street Mall was just starting to get done. So at that point, I had a job, and I was a silkscreen artist printing T-shirts, and it was quite repetitive, as you might guess. And at some point, I went, "Oh, I could do this for my own prints. I don't have to just print T-shirts. I have the skills here." So I started to do that, and in the next 25 years, that is what I did. You layer color upon color. After about 25 years, it's now like the late 90s, I became aware that they had these great big digital printers. And that meant that I could take like paintings and reproduce those. So I learned how to paint, and the first ones were a little rough. And eventually what I teach is that in painting, people go plugging along and they work and work at it, and all of a sudden there's some kind of epiphany. Their style emerges, and I love that in teaching. And that's what happened to me. I finally thought, okay, this will work. And since then, I've painted all the things I silkscreen printed. I, of course, paint what I see around me. This is an incredible place to live, and I'm always out on the roam, taking pictures. When I see something, I will do something crazy, like pull over in the middle of a really busy highway. Not great for the people in the car with me. So, but whatever, I'll lay on my stomach to get the right view. And I use pictures and photos usually. I do paint outside sometimes, but I'm a slow painter and very meticulous. So it takes me going back to the same place like 4 days in a row, say at 7:30 in the morning, because the light changes after a few hours. So I will do that, but I also will just take a picture, finish them off at home, or paint them at home. So that is pretty much my history here. I was real lucky to be awarded 8 Boulder posters. So I was commissioned to do those. I did the 10th, 20th, 30th, and then little ones in between. And 40th also. Oh yeah, 2018. And I'm going for the 50th. We'll see. I'm going for that. So I've really enjoyed that. And, I've just been, that kind of gave me a nice eye in the public here, and I have always appreciated that. So I've been fortunate, yes, in my career here, and just kept at it is what I did. I always needed a few little side jobs to support my art habit, but that was all right. I tried to make those having to do with art, and the first one was a sandwich shop and coffee. But that's when I was like 23, and then it moved on to the screen printing, T-shirts, and then sign painting. So I did that for many years, and then finally the Boulder Arts and Crafts Gallery, which I can go into in a bit.
Well, let me ask you, Anne. I mean, so you've been here quite some time, and you have some history and knowledge of the art environment here. Let me ask you, through that time period, what have you seen in terms of the evolution of the artist community, and the benefits and challenges of being an artist in Boulder?
Well, I've seen different organizations emerge, such as Open Studios. That is like over 20 years ago, or about 20 years ago, when I've partaken in that. All but the ones that were during COVID, where it didn't happen. So that's a vibrant group. And then they have little pop-up galleries, which to me it's a little bit. I commend them for they find empty buildings. Um, they get to sort of poach on those buildings and pay some kind of rent until that building gets rented, and then you're out on your ear immediately. So you don't quite know. They say to us, well, you can have it through December, but sometimes it'll go through January, or other times, usually they keep it for as long as they say they will. But that's, to me, I really wish there was a permanent gallery. There was a permanent gallery. I was at the Boulder Arts and Crafts Gallery, or co-op, since 1980, and that is really how um, I was able to make a living as an artist here. And because as owners, I was a member, artist, owner, um, we could allow ourselves like a real reasonable commission. So that's a big deal for artists. Like galleries are 50-50. And that leaves, and they have to be because their rent's so high too, but it leaves the artist not a whole lot by the time you take your framing costs out. There's not a lot of profit to be had always. So there's that. Being said, there are other arts groups. Nobo is a nice, vibrant art group. It's out in North Boulder, and they have secured like the bus stop gallery, and they have a First Fridays, which are quite raucous, I think. Sometimes out in, I call it the barracks, out there on way North Broadway, right behind Wapo's. So there's that organization, the Open Studios, like I said. There are Boulder Potters Guild, Hand Weavers Guild, things like that. And Boulder Art Association is another one. So there is, there are a lot of groups that have come together to give artists, camaraderie at the very least. And I am, after the co-op closed, I have branched out into smaller galleries in Boulder and around Boulder. Lions Red Canyon Gallery is a good one. Lafayette Particulars, So I've had to go out of town a little more. There are the Art Gallery is a good one, and it's all local art. I'm pleased to see him, working his business and getting more and more attention and good shows. So I don't think the arts will ever perish anywhere. It doesn't get easy though, because of artists tend to get gentrified, especially.
Mm-hmm.
But so far there's a vibrant community here. I think always has been. My job at the co-op also was to oversee the consignment program, which meant that we had 60 consignees from this area. They weren't members, but they had great work, and we'd bring them in, and I would keep tabs on them and call for more work and get to know them all. That was like an amazing, great job. So I do know a ton of artists, even through that job, especially.
That's
And
great.
I still know these people. So
I love it. And it sounds like what you're saying is that there is a vibrant arts scene with a number of artists in this vicinity, but something that we need to think about supporting and continuing to build are venues and opportunities for artists to display and then sell their art at a value that is appropriate for the work that it takes to design and create those artistic pieces.
yeah, and I believe the issue is the rents in Boulder, and that's actually kind of what closed our gallery mostly. It was the pandemic, and we were barely making our rent, but we were doing it, and it was going on $30,000 a month there. And then when the pandemic came along, we had to close for like 4 months. Well, that threw it way into a loop, So what I'm wondering in Boulder, what would be ideal for me anyway, would be if somehow there could be, I don't know if it'd be a nonprofit or just a supportive thing of the arts. I don't know how it will be funded, but a building or just a gallery where artists are able, maybe it will be working through open studios or working through, there's other people too, opening little galleries that I really, little pop-ups, even not affiliated with open studios, but to find a vibrant, energetic group that could open a gallery, populate it with artists. Maybe they choose the artist, maybe there's a criterion for who's in it, but just to have another place now where you can go and buy a ceramic mug, handmade, or and I don't know, and if it could be rent subsidized somehow, just so that artists could afford to be there, and keep the commission workable, and so that would be a goal. It's not one of my dreams to see happen. Yeah, because the artists are here.
And that is a beautiful vision. And, as we always say, I mean, arts is a business aside from just the visual attractiveness of artistic pieces. The artists are creating to the innovative environment and culture, creativity, but also they in and of themselves are independent businesses, or in case of a organized entity, a contributor to our economy. So I appreciate that feedback, and that's something that I know that we will want to talk more about. We've been exploring ways to make sure that we're continually supporting and lifting the arts in our community, as for the attractiveness of the artist pieces, but let alone, but also as an important critical part of our economy. And I'll say that one part of that is our effort to continue the tradition of the Boulder Star holiday card, and the artist selection around that. And again, a highly competitive process. And so I congratulate you, Anne, on just producing a wonderful piece of art, and it's displayed behind me, but you can also get it in these holiday cards that are going to be on sale through the Boulder Chamber, and also the Holiday Star Card wine, which is produced by Bookcliff Vineyards. So every purchase, the contributions go toward supporting the upkeep of that icon on Flagstaff Mountain, the Boulder Star, which we light over the holiday season. And I just want to ask, Anne, just if you can tell us what was some of the inspiration for the design that you produced for this year's holiday card.
Well, I have to commend the city on their amazing Christmas and holiday light display. And it was probably 3-4 years ago that I was downtown and near the band shell, and I knew they had a great light display. I kept driving by and going, I got to look at it while I stopped. And I had my camera, and I'm not great at taking night shots, but I got enough shots to show me what was going on. The band shell was lit up. Who doesn't love the star for years? That was there. Trees reaching over, the paths and the. I took the best of the trees, or some of them that fit into what I was trying to do. I love the ones with the stripes, and that was my inspiration. So I did a previous painting like this with actually hopes that sometime I would get to do the star art, and I think I submitted it when I applied, and the committee did say we like this, but of course I knew it would have to be adapted and redone to your needs, but it was way fun to do. I really loved it. I used a lot of I don't know if you want to know how I did this, but I used a lot of little in watercolors. You can't come back in with your little paintbrush with white dots and put it on. It doesn't cover, so you have to think backwards. People are scared of watercolor. But so I had to take, it's almost like rubber cement. I put it on a toothpick and I dotted every one of those things in there. And then I painted the painting, rubbed it off, and of course it's too bright and gaudy and you have to go back in. I went in and dotted all the little colors in a little stronger, and it was fun. And same with the little snowflakes. Then I got the idea to do that. And I thought, that worked pretty well. If you use something somewhere like down in the front on the path, you want to pick it up somewhere else. So I picked up those same colors in the path as in the sky, and then again in the star. So I guess, I just had a great time doing it, and I'm really pleased I got to be the star artist this year.
Yeah. Well,
I
I have to
hope
tell you.
people,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Ann.
oh, I hope people will enjoy it. So,
Well, I was going to say that people already love it. We're getting so many compliments for the art, and we don't deserve it because it's your art. But I will say that
that's
it
all
is.
right. I get to hear about it. That's
Yeah,
nice.
it's a beautiful contribution to the legacy of the Boulder Star art holiday card art series. And and so I was also a great opportunity then to connect with you, Ann, and somebody who has a great legacy of just work in our community. You mentioned the Boulder posters, but I just see your artwork around town, and it does capture the spirit of Boulder. And so I thank you so much for just making the effort to be a part of the competition that ultimately resulted in this beautiful piece of artwork. And that we're going to enjoy distributing these around town, and in both the holiday cards format and the Boulder Star Wine format. Little marketing from Boulder Chamber here, but just in general, and you are an important contributor to our community, the character of our community, but also, as we say, it was just important to also think about the business contribution that you make as an artist in Boulder. So thank you so much for being on Chamber Chat. And I'm going to say, I hope you get healthy real soon.
Me too.
Absolutely. All right. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank
Any
you.
last one? Oh,
Yeah, thank you. I just want to thank you again for giving me this opportunity. And I'm really excited about it because I have been actually eyeing it for a long time, and I was thrilled. I had some ideas, and I'm pleased. Yeah, very pleased. Thanks for the honor.
well, welcome to being a part of the team. And so that's it. We'll wrap up the Chamber Chat for this month. We'll see you next time, though, because there's always something to talk about in this town on Chamber Chat.